This was the early morning explosion that is said to have damaged the foundations of the Kerch Bridge linking Russia to the annexed territory of Crimea, what has been a key transit route for Russian military supplies. This is a surprise drone attack at several air bases across Russia that Ukraine says destroyed at least 40 strategic Russian bombers.
Ukraine to date against Russia's long-range strike forces. The long-range aviation force, as part of the Russian aerospace forces, so their bomber fleet, is extremely heavily tasked against Ukrainian targets with large salvos of air-launched cruise missiles, and has been so literally throughout the entire war. They're also one leg of Russia's nuclear deterrent, the air-launched cruise missile leg with what we would term AS-23 or KH-102 nuclear missiles, or KH-101 conventional cruise missiles. Of the fleet is around 60 to 65 Tu-95s thought to have been active prior to this strike. So at least 8 destroyed, and potentially significantly more than that will be a significant chunk of the fleet's available assets.
Speaking on Monday ahead of the bridge attack, Ukraine's president said they wanted to demonstrate strength against an unrelenting enemy.
We don't want to demonstrate our strength. We demonstrate it because the enemy doesn't want to stop. We demonstrate it in a fair way on military targets, and we don't only demonstrate it to the Russian aggressors, but also to the allies that were once strong allies and now have started doubting us. The trust towards Ukrainians and the trust towards Ukraine has returned.
While Ukraine has had some success after long-term planning and hitting Russian assets in recent days, Russian shelling, rocket and drone attacks directed at Ukraine also continue. Russia's State Investigative Committee has accused Ukraine of carrying out acts of terrorism.
President Vladimir Putin was updated online on what had been happening. You know that a probe is underway launched by the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation. There was a relevant statement by the Ministry of Defense. I suggest we wait until the results of the probe are available and discuss on the content of the statement by the Russian Ministry of Defense.
Grinds on. Turkey, that has now hosted 2 rounds of ceasefire talks, is working on getting the leaders of Ukraine, Russia and the United States around the peace table.
Together, Mr. Vladimir Putin and Zelensky in Istanbul or Ankara, and even take Mr. Trump with them. If they accept, I would like to come together with them and thus turn Istanbul into a peace center. We will take steps toward this after this last meeting.
And amid military efforts to change the calculus towards peace talks, some tempered optimism in certain quarters that this conflict could reach a conclusion before the year's end.
It could certainly end this year. I think it's probably likelier than not to end in 2025, but if not, it could go on for much longer. I mean, many more years, perhaps. And if it does end in the near term, I think things are fairly clear. The facts on the ground will dictate much of the final picture. Neither side is likely to cede any territory, and a few minor swaps. The U.S. is highly unlikely to provide any substantial security guarantees to Ukraine. Ukraine will not be in NATO. Arrangements with the Europeans possible. There will be some kind of limitations on Ukraine's military potential.
The war has killed at least 12,000 Ukrainian civilians and tens of thousands of soldiers on both sides. And has also this week indicated that a face-to-face meeting between Presidents Trump, Putin and Zelensky was unlikely in the near term, stressing that those contacts had to result in solutions that needed to be first worked out at the expert level. Ukraine's leader has called for decisive action from the United States, European countries and everyone who holds power to pressure his Russian counterpart towards an immediate ceasefire, which Moscow has thus far rejected. Sherwin Riceby's SABC News, New York.